Right then, gentlemen, let's talk about those European spots. The top four will qualify for the Champions League as normal.
That's as simple as it gets.
Unless those Spanish fishermen turn up again and they take one of our European spots.
It sounds very much like anyone in the Premier League can get in Europe today.
Well, it is going that way, Peter, because fifth place, as we know, might well be enough for a Champions League place as a part of the new 36-team format, of course. Yeah. The two extra spots are granted to the best performing league in Europe, which currently would include the Premier League, which is just what probably UEFA planned for, you would say.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not going to like a Romanian side, is it, or something?
There's a possible chance that Premier League could have 7 teams in the Champions League next season.
It is possible. But with the Premier League, the next best team, which is either 5th or 6th, looking like 6th, but we have to leave the door open for 5th, will then qualify for the Europa League, as will either the winner of the FA Cup or the next place team in the league, because clearly if one of the teams that win the FA Cup is a team that finishes in the top 4, blah, 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 you get the picture, you know all this. The interesting thing is the Carabao Cup winners earn a qualification spot in the Europa Conference League. Now, I'll tell you what, Petey.
Tasty.
Newcastle will be all over that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they do have to get through that bloody team Liverpool.
But there is Liverpool. Liverpool are standing in the way of Newcastle winning 2 major trophies.
It's not a bad prize.
Because if you win that League Cup, there you go.
Yeah.
Domestic major
free.
trophy. And then you qualify, although depending on where they finish. But
it's like a little Happy Meal toy.
You can
the Europa Conference League.
It is. It absolutely is.
But we don't know, Marcus. It's a different day today. Yesterday, Marcus, you weren't quite sure if the Europa Conference League was any good or not. How do you feel today?
Yeah, I think it'd been a bit.
Now Fulham are flying up the league.
But that was my point yesterday. Was the fact is for teams like West Ham, who showed it. Fulham, Bournemouth. That would be.
As you said yesterday, Chelsea's C team.
Chelsea C team. We haven't seen them win anything, have we? Chelsea C team could be the first Chelsea C team to win a major trophy in that club's history.
Yeah, true.
So, although
C stands for conference.
Confidence in the conference. And Joao Felix will be pig sick that he's not there to pick up that trophy.
So are we saying then that the teams, the top? I guess what we're saying is Liverpool and Arsenal. That's safe.
That's
in the bag.
That's done.
All right.
So are we saying then the teams all the way down to probably Newcastle, so 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, that's currently Forest, City, Bournemouth, Chelsea and Newcastle, are gunning for the Champions League? Because although I said you could have 7 teams, it looks pretty unlikely that could be the case.
Yes.
So realistically then, you're looking to bank maybe the top 5 for Champions League. Yeah. In which case, I would say that's probably beyond Fulham, or is that too harsh?
No, I think it is beyond Fulham. To be honest with you, I think that Man City now will just start to kind of begin to maybe lock down, slip
it into overdrive.
Because you sort of think that Forest are in a bit of a slide.
That performance they play, it was.
I don't think they're in a slide, Peter. I think they've been inconsistent. They've gone.
They need to turn these losses into draws. I think
they've gone 5-0 defeat, 7-0 win, 2-1 defeat. I don't think that's. That's not ideal. Is it? It's just inconsistent.
Exeter City on pens.
True. But did they progress?
They did.
Did you progress? Yes.
Yeah.
Same progression. Yes. But you can see Man City overtaking them and pulling away.
Yeah.
I think
just by default.
I think so. Chelsea are in a bit of a rut. I think Bournemouth, you would trust them to kind of finish the season strongly.
Outside of the top 2, Bournemouth are probably the most consistent team this Premier League season. Would it be fair to say? They've put on long runs of just fucking good football.
They are. I mean, the fact is they are on the same points as Chelsea, but of course it wasn't that long ago.
So we have a league table for that?
It does kind of.
And Nottingham Forest are currently 4 points above them.
Point, actually,
It is a good measure of it. I mean, but what the point about Bournemouth is they're on the same points as Chelsea, but of course Chelsea have been in a bit of a slide, really. And Chelsea, a couple of months ago, or whenever it was, there was very, very premature and tentative talk of them possibly being in the title race. So it shows you, I mean, that just seems like that's madness now. So it shows you where the slide is.
Let me frame it, because basically, in terms of the overall picture, we're 25 games in, so 13 league games left. Liverpool almost certainly going to win the league, in my view. And Arsenal are, it's damning them with fun.
Arsenal are the second best side.
They're the second best team in the league, right? The relegation zone It's 3 from 4. We know that now. I mean, you're looking at an 8-point gap between 16th and 17th. As we said, been saying for weeks on the show, as much as it'll be funny if Spurs did this or Man United did that, it's 3 from 4. The only real jeopardy down the bottom is probably going to be whether we get to the final day of the season and 2 from 3 can still go down. Although it might even just be 1 from 2.
But you would expect, again, Wolves to probably start to
possibly. Although it was only Liverpool they played, wasn't it? So I mean, it's probably fair enough they lost that, but they weren't too bad. So fair. Ultimately, then this kind of 3rd down to 7th is a really interesting discussion. I think for the following reasons. We know all about Man City. I agree with you guys. They're probably going to pull away. They're probably going to start to show their quality, certainly in games against teams they should really be beating. So you'd wonder about them probably getting 3rd. Jamie Carragher said a few weeks ago that he thought they might not finish in the top 4 at all. So look, other people maybe don't necessarily think that. But what the reason it's super interesting is because you've got a Newcastle team who flirted with the Champions League, had a season in it, dropped out, found it hard to maintain the pace, and who are inconsistent as far as they've lost 3 of their last 4 and have a League Cup final to worry about.
And just jump in there, look, a Newcastle side who, like a few weeks ago, everyone thought, they're on the march now for Champions League.
That's why this whole thing's interesting. Because it's so close. So if you go from 7th up, you've got Newcastle I've just talked about there. Chelsea who, I kind of embarrassed myself in the summer by saying I think Chelsea are going to find it really hard. I think the whole situation's unmanageable. I think Maresca could be the first manager to go. And they started actually pretty well.
Mate, I said Nuno would be the first manager to go. Don't worry about it.
Right. Well, I'll come on to it in a minute. But now what's happening with Chelsea is, because of the way they've been kind of conducting themselves and because everything's quite chaotic, and there's loads of other stories around, they've quietly been quite shit over the last couple of months.
Oh, they have, yeah.
They went on that amazing run through like November, Christmas, and then through to kind of towards the end of December. Probably stopped just before Christmas, actually, but they were brilliant. They kept winning.
Do you think that's
maybe... Since then, they've been so inconsistent.
To be fair, their European C team is the form team in Europe, so...
they need to get the Conference League team back again.
And then the other teams, just quickly, I've already talked about Man City. You've got Bournemouth and Forest in there, and they're just such unknown quantities. I know what you're saying about Bournemouth, Pete, and I know what you guys, what we talked about in terms of Forest.
Brilliant, though.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
If they just reverted to type, came about 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that. Yeah,
I mean, I suppose the sort of the other side that I'm duty bound to mention, even though they're 9th, is Aston Villa. And Villa, of course, are in the Champions League and have a lot to play for this season. But they sit on 38 points. They're 5 points off Bournemouth. And everyone was concerned for them in with regard to the amount of football they'd have to play this season and so on and so forth. And we've seen the effect of that. When they play in the Champions League, they invariably lose their next league game. But I think potentially, and obviously time will tell, they've had a decent January transfer window. Asensio looks like he's up for it, and we know that guy's got quality. They've signed 1 or 2 others. They've got 1 or 2 back from injury. But seeing Marcus Rashford in full flow against Ipswich, I know it was only Ipswich, and I know Villa didn't go on to win the game, and he didn't score. But can we count them out, Peter? Is ultimately what I'm labouring to say.
To maintain and get a Champions League place or win the Champions League, which if they do that, we get an extra place, don't we?
I mean, Villa winning the Champions League does seem more likely than Man City winning the Champions League. If you look at the situation.
We don't get an extra place. We get no benefit from this.
We get no benefit. No,
Aston Villa get a place.
No, we the English people.
Get our game back.
Oh, yeah. So we all want Villa to win the Champions League. But is it ridiculous to think, though, that they could... Because it is unlikely they're going to win the Champions League. It'd be great if they didn't. Come on. But
you're right, though. The signings, I think, would dictate that. Looking at that in the call out later of day, you would sort of look at that and go, well, that's worth a couple more places, isn't it? They've got to put a run together with those kind of additions.
I grant you it wasn't worth a couple of goals against Ipswich. Okay, so I'm very aware.
We've got a test case for one match.
I think you've hit on something as far as that they've strengthened well.
Yes.
At a key moment in the season.
And needed to.
But... One of the things that's kind of interesting about modern football, and it's a great example of it here with Villa now, is that, so what really probably needs to happen is if we accept they're not going to win the Champions League, it'd be amazing if they did, but it's unlikely. what they need to do is drop out the Champions League as soon as possible so they can try and qualify for the Champions
it's
League.
an odd one, isn't it?
It's just like,
I know. It's totally.
And also on this candidate, they're in ninth. That's important to say that. The reason it's super important to say that is because you can be, even if the Premier League gets 5 Champions League spots and we go down to where Bournemouth are at the moment, just 5 points ahead of Villa. Everyone always talks about the points and no one talks about the amount of teams you've got to overhaul. Every extra team you've got to overhaul is another possible way you're not going to get there because the more teams are there, the more chance there is of 1 or 2 of them winning. Yeah. And these teams up there, and the way it's different to the relegation battle is because these teams are up there because they generally win quite a lot.
Yeah.
So it becomes harder. When you look at the relegation battle and you go Southampton, who they're basically dead and buried. Oh, but they're only 10 points or whatever it is. It's not about that. At the current rate of fucking thing, it's going to take them about 12 years to get that many points. Up at the top end of the table, teams win a lot. So you've got to be able to overhaul these teams. And I think Villa's best chance of it is probably if Forest and Bournemouth somehow just run out of steam. And the problem is Villa will get a draw in the they will get a team to play against in the Champions League that they might be able to beat because they've actually at times, particularly towards the start, have been pretty good in the Champions League. And the more that continues, it's more prize money and it's more kudos and it's great for the fans and all the rest of it. But ironically, the more they continue in the Champions League this season, the less chance they've got of qualifying for the Champions League next season. And that's just is the existential nightmare that modern football can bestow upon teams sometimes.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But the reason why I mentioned Villa, and people, I support Fulham for crying out loud, and I know Fulham are a point above them. But the reason why I mention Villa is because Villa have got a better squad. And
they're a better team.
They're a better team than Fulham.
Overall, the table will prove that at the end of the season.
Hence, they are in the Champions League knockouts and so on. So I don't think you can necessarily count them out. Because, as I say, Chelsea are on the slide, Newcastle are a bit funny. It really is there. It's an intriguing one. And I understand people might go, well, hang on, if you're going down to Villa on 38, what about Brighton in 37? I think, okay, come on. It is within the realms of possibility, but I don't think it will happen.
Villa have also lost John Duran, don't forget. He's their second top scorer in the Premier League.
Yes.
So they strengthened, but they've lost a player who's important as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point to make. You would hope for their sake that they would be able to patch that up with Rodgers, Watkins, and now Rashford and Asensio in there. But it is a good point to make. So it's absolutely intriguing. It's kind of a bit of a shame that Liverpool have pulled away from the neutral because you don't really have much of a title race. And even the relegation battle, again, it's sort of fairly predictable. So here we are, kind of poring over the European spots to see who's that's where the real kind of talk is, I think, in the Premier League at the moment. So yes, an intriguing one. But what I'm saying though is with regards to who wins the League Cup and the FA Cup, and you start doing all this, that's I think where a team like Fulham. Not like Fulham specifically, and maybe one or two others.
Fulhamiest of all of them teams.
They're the most Fulham team I've seen.
They're the most Fulhamish team, definitely.
Fulham as fuck, mate.
Yeah. All right.
Full force.
All right.
That sounds like you're being disrespectful like that.
I am being disrespectful. I don't care about any of this.
Right. We won't see you outside. We'll see you in court.
All right, fine.
I don't care about any of this. This team's in the fucking race.
No, just fundamentally, and none of it matters. Because at the end of the day, the league table, as discussed, will give us one in the eye, no doubt, an egg on our shorts.
It won't lie. Although that season Leicester won it, that was a big lie.
It does lie. That was the great lie.
Do you remember when like Spurs fans at that point would go, well, if you take it across the calendar year, we've got more points than anyone.
Give him the calendar year cup then.
Which the calendar year cup.
Give me the calendar year cup.
I'd be happy to win that.
Yeah.
Happy to win anything. So, with regards to...
Give me the calendar month cup.
Right, enough of that. So who wins the cups and so on. You've got to put yourself in a position, at the very least, where if Liverpool win the League Cup, for example, and or even if Newcastle did, but they finish higher, suddenly there is a potential Europa League spot or a Europa Conference League spot. Because that is something. And also, it would mean you've got to strengthen in the summer, of course. But you could have a lovely little European draw. I mean, with regard to Villa, if they don't get into the Champions League next year and they get into the Europa League, well, they'd be on for it. We know Emery loves that competition. So again, what are you trying to do? Because the point you made a few minutes ago, Luke, when you said, well, are we going to... You drop out of the Champions League and then you got to fight to get back in there. So
should Newcastle throw the cup final?
No.
Because they'll get into the Europa...
Let me clear about that. Win the cup. Do try and win the cup.
Okay,
try and win the cup.
But if they lose it, presumably there's another spot available, so therefore they're more likely to be... I mean...
I think
it's a real mess, isn't it?
It's an intriguing mess.
It's an intriguing mess.
A bit like going around Pete's and thinking, this is an intriguing mess.
What an intriguing mess.
But what I'm trying to get to is that with those spots available, if Newcastle found themselves in the Europa League or even the Europa Conference League, they could win it. There are such chances for...
I've got a question for you. If Fulham fight really hard and get in the Conference League,
yes,
right, and they win it, is that a better achievement than Hodgson's Fulham getting to the final of the Europa League?
Oh, I like that.
I think that's...
I like it.
The reason why I think that's a fair question is because that season in the Europa League, you had teams dropping down from the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
Which Atletico Madrid were one of.
Exactly.
But if you're talking in pure football terms, maybe not. But the fact is, what would you rather? You'd rather win the trophy, wouldn't you?
That's why it's such an interesting question,
because
right?
Moyes is West
final?
Ham.
Hamburg?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah, it wasn't Hamburg.
The teams,
but Moyes is West Ham. Did they get to the semis of the Europa League?
I would say...
So you could say,
But like, listen, though, this is where it becomes really intriguing because in 2010, when Fulham get to the final of the Europa League,
yes,
the teams they played are teams that...
Big names.
You're realistically never really going to play in the Conference League.
Juventus, Shakhtar.
They played Hamburg, Wolfsburg, Juventus, Shakhtar, Roma, Basel.
Mm.
You know, like, getting to the final in that environment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an aside.
It was a good tournament.
Even Atletico, because they came back through the way they came back through, they played so many big teams as well. You know, so it's quite an interesting way that European football's become far more egalitarian. Like basically everyone gets a go at European football compared to what it was then. So, I just think that if you're gunning,
a little away trip in Kazakhstan, is what I'm saying.
I just think if you're Fulham, you are absolutely gunning for the top 5 because you have to be because you're at this point in the season and you're just 4 points off it, right? I mean, it's an incredible position to be in. But I do think we might see these teams starting to revert to type a bit and start to be a little bit too inconsistent for their own good, and we might just see, with the exception of possibly Forest, I think we might just see everyone else drop off.
Yeah. Well, that's when the nerves kick in. That's when it's kind of like you're not.
If Forest get in the top 5,
I'd be massive.
Or in the top 4.
Well, this is it. You're looking at the table. Forest and Bournemouth could be playing Champions League next year. It's extraordinary.
I'd love that. That would be my choice if I could choose.
Woody.
But
Woody up top.
Woody up top, indeed. Yeah. And also for those teams, with Bournemouth, often when we talk about Bournemouth, we go, well, where's Semenyo going to go next season? Where's Kirkus going to go next season? And it's almost a little bit unfair, but unfortunately...
Doesn't need to happen if they get into the Champions League, though.
Exactly. If you get into the Champions League, you're more likely to keep your players as well. And I think for Fulham as well, my concern for them would be is if, say, Fulham, a good sort of season, but, and then they finish 10th, for example, does Silva sort of think, I've taken them as far as I can go? And that would be my concern. Whereas if they can get a European spot, even if it is in the Conference League, bang, you've got a little reward there for something, and you can
which
build.
Of these teams has got absolutely lucrative bonus options in the contract for players that they simply cannot afford if their teams do the miraculous and get out of the Champions League?
Yeah, that's an interesting
really
one.
feeding them up with big lamb legs before they get on the pitch. Oh, it's really slow.
I saw Erling Haaland do this. He did it after the game. Yeah. Oh dear. Right, coming up after this, we've got a well overdue Juan Bernabe update, and we look ahead to tonight's Champions League ding-dongs. Yes, that man, Juan Bernabe, he won't go away. Him and his Willie have been...
That's the name of his eagle, by the way. That's what he should have done. Call his eagle Willie.
Yeah, that's true. As I say,
look how high my Willie's going.
Change that into a perch, and my goodness, we're all on board. Yes, because last week he made an appearance with
talons in there. You don't want that.
You have a protective case around your top.
What would you do? What are you putting around it? Pete, could you 3D print something for Martin for an eagle?
Little leather sheath.
Why are you asking me when you've got someone here who may well have done it?
Yeah,
little chastity belt thing.
Pete, you could 3D print something that could go over even an enhanced appendage.
Yeah, I think so.
To protect it from an eagle's
I might need to print it in 2 parts. But
I think you'd need
some. I
think you'd need some very, very thick leather to strap around it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what you don't
Game
think
of
about
Thrones,
is,
isn't it?
It's a more medieval approach.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But what you don't think about it, you are going to have to be aroused. You see?
It's a good point, actually.
So,
yes, you have
you
to.
know-
Well, he's got a pump, hasn't he? We keep him falling
Yeah, but
foul
I'm
of this
saying-
pump.
No, but
You could pop a load of boner pills as well.
boner
True.
pills.
But you still got to have the stimulation.
Yeah, but actually,
it's
Luke
not-
was
it's
actually
not-
asking you and me.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So we don't have a pump. As far as I'm aware, you don't have a pump, do you?
I've seen Pete's appendage.
Pump.
and I think it's very much.
Always pumping. Always pumping it. I'll find that switch one day. If I keep squeezing it, I'll find that switch one day.
You keep giving the switch to other people, though.
Pete's appendage is very much enhanced by what God gave him.
God. It was the devil.
Foul little thing it is.
Foul little thing. Drips constantly.
And there it is.
Yeah.
It's always a step too far.
Yeah.
And when we get to that point, we move on. Well, Juan Bernabe, yes, he made an appearance with his.
He's not
eagle.
using his cock as an eagle perch.
But he should do.
Yeah.
He was at a Serie D side, of
Could have
course.
got rid of off on expenses if he did that.
I got tax-free where I wee.
Yeah.
Oh dear. He said that he now plans to take Lazio president Claudio Lotito to court. He just won't give up, will he?
God, who wants to see that
will not.
horrible man in
He's
court?
had to drop down to Serie D, which you'd think if you fall out with a manager over an issue of performance, you wouldn't expect to have to drop down 3 or 4 divisions.
No.
Surely someone else would take you.
I guess you take the job. It's like Lampard, didn't you? You take the jobs at Tottenham for you.
Yeah, take a job, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
show your quality.
Very quality. Yeah.
could he get a move to Saudi?
Exactly. It's
Competitive marketplace there, isn't it?
That's true, yeah.
Birds of prey everywhere.
Indeed.
You don't get near another man.
Well, Big Juan said, I was treated like a criminal. I don't want to leave for Mello, which is, of course, where Lazio are. I'll stay until the law allows me. I'm not afraid of anyone. Lotito can't be the president of Lazio, given everything he does. I don't care. I'm a martyr of Lazio. He doesn't get to decide that. I have always respected the president, but what he has done to me is unacceptable. I'll bring evidence that will support everything I'm saying. He claimed he wasn't paid for 7 months through the pandemic. Seems a while ago now. He also claims Lotito sent the police to his room after the operation.
Why?
Yeah.
Swollen goods.
I mean, Lotito, he's already had a ban, hasn't he? He was involved in the old 2006 scandal in Italy.
I don't believe that for a moment.
So, all I'm saying is keep digging away, Juan.
You have to get a pump inserted in your penis to out-scandalise a scandalised man.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Is this like Alien versus Predator? Because whatever happens in this,
We lose.
nobody wins.
And the penis will be seen. Did you see the actually in the Wolves Bournemouth match where a man got his pants out?
No, I didn't see that.
Justin Kluivert was taking a penalty, and basically a Wolves fan, big fat bloke,
yes,
sort of lifts his top
That's
off
right.
to show his nipples off, but also pulls his pants down as well.
Nice.
And his mate just points at his pants. Like, he didn't get his old chap out or anything. He just sort of, like, his friend just pointed at it. He didn't have to go, "Hey, look at this, Justin," and he just puts it away.
So
That's what he does.
He didn't get it out, so he kept a bit of dignity. Is what
Bit
you're
of
saying.
dignity.
Shall I tell Marcus the Black Sabbath story, Pete?
Yeah, go on. Oh, yes, yeah, go on.
So have you heard the story that in 1999 Black Sabbath reformed for an Ozfest? I told the story on Luke and Pete show, but you'll like it.
They're doing it again recently.
Yeah, no, that's what made me think of it.
That's why it's relevant, everybody.
But in 1999 they formed, and it was Ozfest. So Ozzy Osbourne would normally perform.
Yes, yeah,
but this time he pulled Black Sabbath back together. So he had him, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler. Now, Bill Ward, the drummer, had recently had a heart attack, so couldn't perform. So they used another drummer. So everyone was going wild that, quote unquote, Black Sabbath have reformed at this gig. Like I say, at the end of the last century. And as a special treat, Ozzy Osbourne introduced Bill Ward onto the stage.
Yes.
And it's a big emotional moment. It's the first time all four of them have been together since, I think, years and years. But Bill Ward is so old and frail because of his heart operation. He's like hobbling on with a stick. And Ozzy Osbourne puts a big kind of emotional thing out there. The crowd go wild. Bill, it's great to have you. I know you can't play, but it's lovely to have you with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ward, everyone cheers. And as he's about to hobble off with his stick, Ozzy Osbourne just whips his trousers and pants down.
That's dignity.
And he can't get it back up again.
No.
Does he have to do the walk of shame, essentially?
Someone has to come on and help him.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Cheers, Oz.
And especially because Ozzy
Unbelievable.
Osbourne's always wearing joggers, isn't
Do you know what, though?
What an emotional
He's good
moment.
going down.
But they are reforming and they're playing at Villa Park.
Yeah,
I
they
think,
are,
aren't
they are.
What they should do, right? You get Juan Bernabe and his eagle to turn up.
Yeah.
Eagle swoops around. Ozzy bit the head off it. They are. Right, now you're out of business. Sod
Has
off.
to go his winky as well.
He can't be biting stuff like that now.
No.
Can't he?
Nah.
What a way to go out, though.
Yeah.
Come on.
Get Marcus Rashford on for the encore.
There you go.
Song about Amarim.
Yeah, I could. Oh, dear.
Anyway, what are we doing now?
Where are
right,
we?
well, let's get away from all that kind of nonsense. Let's go to North Korea, it says here. A new report has revealed how North Koreans are watching Premier League football. This is extraordinary. Yeah. It found that games were chopped from 90 minutes to 60 minutes.
Good, the dream.
To in this country.
Don't tell Premier League managers that.
It's been on time.
Imagine the fixture congestion.
Are they cutting all the dead time out?
They're stopping the clock, Luke Moore.
Yeah. Does that count as
What are they calling
highlights?
for?
That's what they're doing. They're stopping the clock.
Will the similarities between me and Kim Jong-un never end?
I don't. Murderous bastards, the pair of you. The games are shown 4 months behind schedule. So August games are seen in January.
Good God.
They must think we're in the Southern Hemisphere. Quite looks very sunny. And
It's like the BBC's rights.
it is a little bit. Oi.
Yeah.
No games involving South Korean players will be allowed to be televised, of course. So no Tottenham Hotspur, no Wolves.
I thought they would just sort of cut the camera every time the number 7 gets on the ball.
Yeah, there's no player cam. No Brentford, of course. So they're not shown on the state-run KCTV channel. North Korea has no agreement with the Premier League to show games, so they're probably likely breaching copyright laws as well.
Yeah, I don't think even the Premier League aren't going to go after
I don't think it's a be in sport situation.
Masters like, who's doing it?
Be
Right,
out
get
sport.
me there. It's in North Korea.
I do think we should send a delegation there. And I've got a list of people.
Yeah, list of
here.
people, best and brightest.
Yes,
Why am I on here?
That's
Why am I on this?
Is that why Man City are getting away with things and they've won their because the Premier League is stretched. They've got lawyers in North Korea.
Get your tinfoil hat on, Matt. You'll be fine. That'll protect you.
Matt, no 5G in North Korea. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Certainly no CBD.
These people could go there.
My goodness.
What
do you reckon?
I'm broadly against people having a laugh about the North Korean regime for obvious reasons. But this is an interesting development for sure.
Bearing in mind their history with the beautiful game and the Brazil match, famously.
It's kind of interesting how
When they qualify for the World Cup, yeah.
I don't want to get too serious about it, but it is interesting in and of itself, isn't it? And I'm sure we covered it at the time, although I can't remember, that they were even able to qualify. They were allowed to qualify because FIFA tends to be. Well, they're obviously hypocritical fucking idiots who just say whatever they want, but they are very consistent on that. No political interference in the Football Federation. There's absolutely no way at all that the North Korean Football Federation isn't being influenced by the political system there. So,
laughable,
the fact that they were able to qualify is kind of crazy. And then what tends to happen isn't it, that the people in charge at FIFA go, it's an amazing story. We can heal the world through football, so that's why North Korea are here.
That's why the world's in good health.
Wow.
No, Russia doesn't play in UEFA, do they? So
Exactly.
They've been.
That's kind of. That's a lot more easily cut and dry, though, isn't it? Because you can just say they've invaded the foreign territory. That's that.
I mean,
it's all right. Look, it'll be sorted out by Christmas. It's fine.
In a way, UEFA are being harsher on Russia than the US are about to be.
Which
is
in
a
many
mad
ways.
thing, isn't it?
In many ways, yeah.
Anyway,
I'm duty bound to move on.
Yeah, fine. You started it.
Did I?
Well, they started it.
I was about to say. They ain't. No, that's a different thing. Right, tonight's Champions League matches. Celtic need to overturn a 2-1 deficit away to Bayern Munich to progress to the Champions League last 16. I mean, if they could do that, it would be one of the most famous nights in their history.
Rod Stewart would explode.
He would have a celebratory drink.
I reckon he'd appear. I think he might do anyway. He probably will anyway.
Yeah.
It's like your nan on the sherry, isn't it, when you see him? It's basically, whenever I see Rod Stewart, I think Nan Christmas Day.
I do as well. Yeah. You remember that photo of Mel Gibson back in the day when he's got a tab on and people said it like every mother in the 1980s? It's that kind of
mother.
It's that kind of energy.
I can remember I was APing on the TalkSport Breakfast Show and Rod Stewart just kept calling in.
Did he?
Yeah, because he loves Brazil.
Oh, right.
He just loves it.
Did they put him through on it?
Yeah, they always put him through every time.
I liked it when they, is it CBS were doing the Mika Richards crossover to Rod Stewart on it might be TNT actually, but somebody asked whether Rod Stewart knew who Big Meeks was, and obviously Mika Richards
kept calling him something else, didn't he?
He said Big Knees. So I'd very much like to call Mika Richards Big Knees from now on.
When you're in Rod Stewart's position, you've had so much success, you've made like fuck you money, and you can do whatever you want.
Rumoured to be an ex-Rangers fan as well.
Right?
Is he really?
Yeah, apparently.
No, surely not.
I'm not commenting on that.
That's hilarious.
But isn't it just interesting that like he's basically doing what quite a lot of people in his position would do?
Yes,
just
yeah.
Going at football,
champagne, football,
getting all the freebies at the football,
lovely,
chipping off on the telly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Isn't the epitome of a lovely old job?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But going back to the game itself,
having to go to the council constantly.
Yeah, always sailing. Always waking up, Maggie, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So you think Bayern are on for it?
The Celtic are still in this tie, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it.
Well, that late goal they scored,
exactly. That's massive for them.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely massive, because if you go I just think in this scenario, I don't want to get down the whole rule of the 2-0 defeat. 2-0 score is a dangerous scoreline or whatever, because that's just stupid.
2-0 the ties over.
But there's a big difference. You score a goal 10 minutes from time.
No away goals.
No away
and
goals.
the disparity in league quality as well, you would say. It's
similar.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but I
you got Maeda in your ranks.
No, but you're right though, because if they can take the lead, which is obviously possible, then that could put the old Willies up Bayern, couldn't it?
Certainly could.
And
I'd love to see him put the Woolies up Bayern.
Oh, would you?
Get Juan Bernabe.
The Juan Bernabe Willies up the Bayern. Yeah, but it would though, and I think as well though, for the travelling fans and everything to go there and think, right, come on then, let's have a famous night. That's totally different psyche to, well, we've bought the ticket, we've got to go. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Totally different mentality, psyche.
Is it a good? Because a big debate erupted on the Football Ramble Discord last week, which is available at patreon.com/Football Ramble for just £5 a month. Amazing chat in there about whether the stage that Celtic and Man City and Real Madrid are currently in, does that constitute the knockouts or not? Because it's not the group phase.
No, I think it is knockout because it's knockout football.
That's what I think, but it's not actually called the knockout. It's called the knockout playoffs.
Which is
so if you've got
correct.
that in your contract as a player, you're banging the door down, or you're a lawyer saying, "I want the money, please."
Yeah, that's
I'm not
true.
in the group stage anymore. So in the context of that, and I found that a really interesting debate on the Discord.
Yeah,
but
okay.
in that context, is this a decent achievement for Celtic if they go out, say, narrowly to Bayern Munich in this playoff?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Because the way it has been worded, it's the first time they've been in the Champions League knockouts for 15 years or I forget the amount of years. So I think you've got to look at that as the knockouts. The fact is, if Celtic finished in the top 8 of the group phase, that would be extraordinary achievement. It really would be. So I think getting in that pack, which go into the playoffs, I think has been great. And the fact is they're still alive in the tie against a team who have ambitions of winning the tournament.
Yeah.
You've got to take your hat off to Brendan Rodgers and the job he's doing there.
The best hope Celtic have got is that Bayern Munich do in fact sign Anthony before the game tonight.
Yeah, well, there are reports
because that's apparently been talked
that
about.
Bayern Munich are opening talks to sign Anthony because what I think. But that's quite wise because you don't want to be the first club to sign him after Manchester United. You want him to go on loan.
Get that stink off.
Exactly. Get
the hose on him.
Yeah, the loan is like it's like a wash, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get all that Man United stench off you. Yeah, exactly. And then off he goes to Bayern.
Yeah.
Did you see he scored another lovely goal for Real Betis against
third MVP in a row.
Is that right? He got an assist awarded man of the match. I mean,
that's two outside of the boxes in as many weeks.
It's a different thing with Anthony because at Man United it's a fairly easy concept to understand and witness that a lot of players who are obviously good players are a crock of shit at United because it's a shit show there, right? Anthony just did not look like a good player at all.
Well, he had moments to begin with, but But
you look at that quote that Erik ten Hag said, I think around the time he signed him, where he said, I know what he can be, he is brave, we look for players with the right character who can fight and battle. It's like he's the opposite of that.
Yeah, but it became that situation. I mean, I think to judge him just on that might be a bit of a fool's error.
He's a Bayern Munich player?
They obviously do.
That's not what I'm not asking then. No, I'm asking you.
Well, I don't think my opinion's relevant.
Well, fucking, I get that in writing, please. Hey, anyway, what are we talking about next?
Good stuff.
No, of course I'm joking. My opinion is incredibly relevant.
Yeah.
Well, I think he could.
We have that at the top of every running order, don't we?
We do. Yes.
Yeah.
Something you have to sign. It's a rolling
But
contract.
he's obviously looking to rebuild his career, and he's starting to do that. You have to give him credit for doing that. There's a big difference between going on loan at Betis and looking good and playing consistently at Bayern Munich. Maybe though, Andy might argue for 85% of the league games every season, he'll have a lovely time.
Well, exactly. Can you bolster your squad? And I think he would be at least a squad option at Bayern, potentially, from what we've seen with these games at Betis, I stress. Because you wouldn't have thought that when he was not even getting on a sub for Manchester United a couple of months ago. But with Bayern, though, I mean, this obviously spent huge money on Kane. They need to recoup that as the seasons go on, and other signings they've made. Palhinha was big money as well. Okay, they've sold Tell, so that brings in a bit.
Well, it's a loan so far, right? Isn't it?
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, yeah. But if you're Spurs, you're thinking, let's sign him at the end of the season. So the financial rules, everyone's bound by them. But as I said on yesterday's show, come the summer, Manchester United need to have a fire sale because they are really sailing close to the win with PSR. And all these players, like Anthony's had a new lease of life. He won't want to go back there and start playing, for crying out loud. You wouldn't have thought. But for the fee they bought him for Ajax, which was goodness knows how much.
100.
Yeah, with certain clauses and things and so on. Again, like
you want him to be banging G's at Betis to get a big fee for him.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think if you're buying, I think you could say, all right, we'll give you 30 million for him or something. Man United, what are they going to do? Not sell him and have those wages for another year? They need to sell.
For the player, though, it's an upsetting little bungee cord that he's got attached to. That could be back in Man United's ranks.
Yeah,
Sancho's another one. Like, what are you going to do? Keep all these players on huge money? You have to sell them. McTominay, they had to sell McTominay as well, which a lot of the fans were sad to see him go. Napoli fans.
I saw some footage of him the other day. He looked like fucking Zidane.
Mate, I tell you.
He looked so good.
The Napoli fans have got like a flag, haven't they?
Oh, there's a Scotland flag, which is currently on display in a pizza restaurant, which says Napoli McTominay pizza in that order. They've put him above pizza.
I know, right?
Where the city where the margarita was invented.
Yeah,
you love to see it.
No QI buzzers. I mean, if there's so that's what most people would go with. He's having a lovely old time at Napoli. He could even win Serie A. Imagine that. He did it right. Yeah. Last game for Manchester United, the cup final win against Man City. Thank you very much, and I'm out of here.
Yeah,
that is how it should have. That's how Ten Hag should have played. So I know people say, but financially, bollocks. That for the sake of your mental well-being, that he's played a blinder, and he's having a great time, and they love him there. I think Gilmore's usually on the bench.
Right.
McTominay has popped up with some big moments, and they are on for a league title. They are right in the mix of it. God,
doesn't happen very often at Napoli either.
Do you know what I nearly said there? I was like, imagine him playing against Man United in Europe. No, he'll be there. He'll be playing unless Man United can win the Europa League, which oddly is a possibility. Yeah. But there we are. Right then, coming up after the break, Jude Bellingham's been a naughty boy, or has he? Let's go back to Bayern Munich though, because Harry Kane is edging closer to a trophy. Bayern drew 0-0 to Bayer Leverkusen on the weekend. Now, Bayern Munich have been pretty free-scoring under Vincent Kompany, as you would expect. Kompany, we remember his time at Burnley, of course. He's not one for kind of, right, let's keep it tight at the back, let's sit deep, and he's kind of like, go on, boys, express yourselves. And they've been good.
Scott Parker's sorted that part of it out. Hasn't he?
Very different approach, yeah, which is working for them.
Yeah.
Although Kompany did get them promoted, though.
Yeah, he did.
But anyway, Bayern drew 0-0 at Bayer Leverkusen on the weekend, which means I think they've, what is it, an 8-point gap?
It is. If it had gone Leverkusen's way, Leverkusen would have been, I think, 5 points behind.
They would have clawed it.
Would have still just. It was almost like an Arsenal-Liverpool situation.
Yeah. But
Bayern Munich obviously far more dominant.
But with Bayer Leverkusen, though, they know how to win the title. They are the champions after all. And I think what have they lost? One competitive game in their last 67.
Yeah, they've only lost one game in the league this season.
In the league, sorry, yes, of course, because they lost to Atalanta in the Europa League. Yeah. They're a very, very good side, as we know. And if they get the bit between their teeth, and Bayern, I think, under Kompany, who's not used to managing a side who are top of the Bundesliga, you could be forgiven for thinking, okay, could a bit of nerves come in towards the end of the season? So Kompany was just like, right, we are Jose Mourinho in this. We are making sure we do not lose to this lot. We want to preserve that 8-point lead.
I think it's an interesting situation.
Which was one in the eye for Andy, who was there.
Yeah, exactly. 0-0, great.
No more entertainment for you, Brass.
Not getting the money back on your flight for that.
Even though Wirtz had a chance at the end.
What's interesting about that Bayern Munich situation is Kompany obviously deserves credit for doing what he's doing, and it looks like they are going to go on and win the league and wrestle it back from Leverkusen. But Leverkusen won it for the first time in their history.
Yes.
Right? So you'd expect there to be a little bit of an inertia after that. I think it would be a massive.
There hasn't though, really.
Well, there has, as far as that they've not been at all dominant in the league this season compared to last season.
Well, okay,
there's been a drop off, isn't there?
Only slight though, not as much as I think people thought. Because Bayern are having a really, really good season, and it is Bayern at the end of the day.
But they got 90 points last season. They don't get anywhere near that this season.
No, but I think
Leverkusen got 90 points last season.
Sure, but and I understand they were in the Europa League as well, but they're also playing in the Champions League, which is obviously more demanding, as we know. And they're second. They've only they've just drawn a few more games than what they would have liked. So I think you can still give Alonso an enormous amount of credit for what's going on this season.
Sure, but I'm using it as a way to say that Kompany has been good and he deserves credit, but he's essentially restored parity back to Bayern Munich in
a natural order
in a season after a kind of Halley's Comet type season.
Well,
I think it's fair to say.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Any manager of a certain level worth their salt, and just remember, Kompany was very lucky to get that job. I mean, a lot of managers didn't want it.
Yeah, he was like the sixth choice.
Yeah,
or something,
and and he's done really what he's expected to do. And you can say that's harsh, but that's Bayern Munich. I mean, that's what it is at Bayern Munich.
Well, and they didn't
but if those managers didn't want it, presumably that was it was quite a more difficult job than you would say.
No, and that's that's a fair point as well to make. So I think you've got to say he's done a good job. Obviously, they would have wanted to finish in the top 8 in that Champions League group stage.
I think that's much more indicative.
So there is that. So I think that's probably more
because you look. Pete made the comparison earlier, like half joking, but I think it's kind of accurate. Like, how much can you learn from Celtic winning the league in Scotland? Not much. You don't learn much from that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens a lot. And you got really one other notable team there that can do it. Bayern Munich really, I mean, Alonso comes in and he's like, I can say it's a Halley's Comet situation. They somehow have, I'm sure they did it on purpose, but they find themselves with the best new manager in the world. So Bayern Munich drop off. But generally speaking, Bayern Munich win it every single year.
Yeah, no,
So what is probably more indicative is how they do in the Champions League.
Possibly. But
they've not finished in the top 8 and they're Bayern Munich.
Yeah, sure. Look, fine. I do agree with you. But I'm just saying, I think it's an achievement, the fact that they're 8 points clear of Bayer Leverkusen. They've only lost 1 game in the league this season. They've just drawn a few more. They've drawn 4 more games than Bayern. And I think that's where it is.
Harry Kane's the one we should be thinking of, because it's a big trope, isn't it, that he's never won anything.
Honestly, it goes against everything. Me thinking, I really want Bayern to win the league in the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean?
But Charlie Kane.
Think of Eric Dyer as well.
Yes. Really good shout. He gets forgotten about.
I get the feeling that, like if you drip a bit of gallium on an aluminium lock, it just explodes.
I didn't know that.
Because gallium it's like mercury, but it can somehow mess with aluminium. And it just absolutely
Well, you thought Kane might be that to Bayern Munich?
Well, to a trophy. Don't give him the trophy, it might melt.
He's not going to be now.
No.
Eric Dyer's worth thinking about. Charlie Kane is worth thinking about as well.
Yeah, they're all worth thinking about.
One of the finest young agents of his generation.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. What about Jude Bellingham? He's an Englishman who's won trophies already on the continent.
Got a bit of trouble at the weekend.
He was sent off for dissent. He told the ref to fuck off. Apparently,
I am trying to talk to you with respect. Fuck off.
Yes, that was that's what the Spanish TV station kind of showed it, picking up Bellingham saying that. The ref thought he said fuck you. Right. Hansi Flick said, what's the difference between fuck you and fuck off? It says to me that it's not very nice and shows a lack of respect. Now, Bellingham and Ancelotti think there is a difference. Because when I first heard this and saw the story, I thought that Bellingham was doing that thing, which sometimes I might do. If you're playing football and you miss a shot, and you go, fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
fuck off.
I
think that's all right, isn't it?
Do another one.
I don't do it in that accent.
Fuck off.
How would you feel about that one?
Yeah. You pick up the receiver.
You're a referee, Marcus. It's just a little role play. Marcus is referee. You are going to do three.
I walk up to you. Yeah.
Let me do it. You're going to do 3 different types of fuck off.
Let him do it.
I'll walk over to him.
And Marcus, all we need from you is whether it's a yellow, red, or no further action.
Yeah, go on then. Right. Okay. Whistle. Fuck off! Red card.
Okay. Right. Number 2.
Fuck off.
You're coming round mine later.
No, is that a yellow? That's a yellow.
Is that yellow?
That's aggressive, is it?
That's a yellow. That's a yellow.
Fuck off?
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
Which one did Bellingham do?
First one.
First one.
Yeah. First one.
Yeah. So I thought that, but then when you see what that TV channel clearly kind of picked up was, I'm trying to talk to you with respect. Ever. The only thing I can think is to give him any kind of benefit of the doubt. He said, I'm trying to talk to you. Fuck. It's like, flipping heck.
Fuck off.
Kind of thing. But the fact is, he's saying, no, I said fuck off.
You shouldn't be doing it.
So many different fuck offs.
Look, he's a high profile player. He knows better than that.
You shouldn't be doing it.
So I can
a
totally understand why the referee sent him off. I understand that the players were very frustrated because leading up to that, if you watch the game or you watch the highlights, Real Madrid probably should have had a penalty. Yeah. They had a few shouts, and Ancelotti himself was booked on the touchline, so they were at the referee. Now again, that suggests to me that the referee, he knows that they're on him, and you can certainly find some football fans in Spain that may well tell you that Real Madrid love a bit of this. Yeah. All right? They love a bit of putting pressure on the referees, and they're at them constantly. We know what they're like.
They might occasionally get a decision, perhaps?
It could be the case, Luke. I don't want to sort of delve into conspiracy theories right now, but we'll get that former head of refereeing's parrot to sing the tune, and we'll make our conclusions from that.
Exactly.
So, all of that goes into the pot. Bellingham ultimately says, fuck off, to the referee, in front of the referee. I think the referee, despite giving a few poor decisions, can be cleared of sending him off with a red card.
It's also interesting because they're clearly under a bit of pressure around Madrid in the league.
They didn't finish in the top 8 of the group phase.
No, but he'll still be available for selection against Manchester City, of course, because different competitions, so he won't be banned for that.
Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed his celebration at the Etihad. You know, like we love Bellingham, of course we do.
Yeah.
And I think with Bellingham, that he's now got a reputation for chatting to referees. And the reason for that is because he chats to referees all the time.
Well, and other players.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful. And I reckon a lot of people in Spain, my feeling would be is would think, oh, I'm glad he got that. Because you can't say that in front of the referee and then go, oh, well, you know, I'm cleaner than clean here, sort of kind of thing. I can do what I want. Now, again, I love the man. He's brilliant, blah, 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 blah. But saying, I didn't say fuck you, I said fuck off.
Yeah.
It's a thin...
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know, just it's a thin defence, isn't it?
So 2 letters different, really.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
Hansi fuck.
Yeah. There we are, everybody. Yeah. So poor old Bellingham. He'll be back though, among the goals soon enough, and the Real Madrid machine. Fuck on. There we are, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. We'll be back tomorrow with Jimmy Baby to chat about all the Champions League goodness that we're going to enjoy tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Indeed, we are.
See you later.